Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you are enjoying this summer day. It's a little cooler today, which I am so excited about. No more 100 degrees. I don't want to be in 100 degrees anymore.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Yeah. Josh, you love summer months, especially 100 degrees. You just celebrate all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. I celebrate by being indoors.
Yes.
And,
love air conditioning for sure.
Yes.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to a
wanted to say, actually, today, on this day, I forget the exact date, but the very first air conditioner was made.
Oh,
on this
very
day.
good.
So, yeah, nice
that
little
is something
tidbit
to celebrate.
Of history.
I like it.
Right there. Yeah, it was actually 1902.
Thank you for the air conditioning. My condenser went out. Now that I actually know the problem, so I've been sleeping in 80-degree heat, which is so terrible.
I don't know how you can sleep. Personally.
Yeah, especially with my golden retriever. It's nice and snuggly. Okay, anyways, we'll go on a tangent. So thank you all for tuning in. Today we have very special guests. We have Michelle and Allie with REMAX with Elite Home Sales Team. Thank you, girls, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us again.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. For those of you that have been following us and listening to our YouTube channel and interviews, they come in every month and give us a pulse on the market, which is amazing. For those of you looking to buy or sell or just want to know what's going on with rates or want to know what's going on with Colorado, these girls are natives to Colorado and are very familiar with the market. So thank you again for coming in. It's always lovely having you.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Of course. So we can jump in. I know it's very busy, especially summer months. I think the sun is out longer and people are like, it's almost school. Like my kiddo starts in 4 weeks. So I think people are ready to probably be landed somewhere.
Yeah.
What are you gals seeing kind of going on this summer with the market?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the trends that always happens when in regards to school. Usually like the beginning of summer, it takes a little bit of a lull, end of May, beginning of June, people are getting out of school. Families aren't as apt to make any moves, but as we get further into July, early August, everything really starts to pick up again, and we're definitely seeing that happen. Come the beginning of July, it kind of is just like skyrocket and just off to the races. Yeah.
Nice. And you all have a lot more inventory, it looks like, that has been coming. Where are the hot spots? That's what I want to know. If people are looking to buy, where should they go look?
Gosh, I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for. I mean, we'll have a great property in a great location that maybe doesn't sell right off the bat, and we're kind of confused by that. And then, I mean, Denver is always, pretty populated. Denver is always a pretty good go-to, depending on the condition of the home. Some of the homes are older in Denver, but, I think just in general, we're, Castle Rock, Highland Ranch, Lone Tree, Westminster has gotten really, really popular, just, slightly up north, kind of, that direction. So, I mean, there really isn't a rhyme or reason per se. I think everyone just is moving to Colorado or, population is rising. So just getting into somewhere and finding a neighborhood that works best for your, what you're looking for. So
I take it a lot of your stuff is families kind of looking for, or to be families looking near school districts, backyards, stuff like that. Like it's not really older or single right now, or is it? What is the majority?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a majority of the people I'm working with, it's kind of a widespread. I have the 60 to 80-year-olds who are looking for one story, kind of their forever home, right, where they're going to stay for a while. And then you're also finding, young single 20-year-olds who just want to get into the market and buy a condo somewhere. And then you also have, families who are maybe moving out of the city to a better school district or whatever that may be. So, I mean, we kind of work with a little bit of everybody. I have a 24-year-old client and I have a 81-year-old client. So
that's awesome. You're so diversified. That's pretty great. Yeah, it doesn't matter your age, what you want. These gals will find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that you both are natives too. Josh and I both are too, and it really gives you a pulse. Like, I mean, for 40 years, that's how long 41 if I'm being exact, but the changes have been immense. I remember being like where I was living a couple years ago, Windsor was never even on the map. And now it is absolutely exploding, like you said, up north. And people are going east, and like Wellington. No one had ever heard of Wellington, and now it's really cropping up. Severance, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they're developing out east in like Elizabeth. They have a bunch of new builds out there. They're definitely taking any land that Colorado has to spare and just popping up the subdivisions.
Yeah, I was just on E470, and it's amazing just how much more is just built every single year out there. And now even between kind of like Lone Tree, Park Meadows area all the way down to Castle Rock, it's like, I remember where it was just, trees. Now it's, houses.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. And last time you were talking also about a little bit with like the average of, it's amazing, like a young couple or something like that, how much it is to, on average, to start a life here in Colorado just because of the booming industry here. So do you know about the average right now? I forget what you guys were kind of talking about when we discussed it, but it was like, man, I didn't buy my well, I've only bought one house, so that was a while ago, but it's just a lot.
No, it really is. Fair housing, or not fair housing, low-income housing is definitely a struggle here. I think everywhere, quite frankly. That's definitely something we're finding. But as far as averages go, what we call either attached properties, which would be like a condo or a townhome, averages are just under, I would say, 500,000. And then for single family, we're creeping up to just about 650 maybe even. So yeah, it's not cheap.
It is definitely not cheap. I mean, I don't know very many first-time home buyers that have roughly $700,000 just kind of chilling. I'm like, I just graduated from college. Like, I find it amazing.
Well, but when you graduate college, suddenly you're just making mooga bucks. I mean, that's what it was, right? You know?
Oh, of course.
That's what I was promised.
Really? Well, who told you that? I received different information. Like, you're going to be broke for a long time. Yeah. It was just go get a job and fingers crossed. Yeah.
And you mentioned low-income housing. So recently, I mean, I remember in the news, the Denver mayor is going to increase sales tax to try to get more low-income housing into the area, right? Does that go into your wheelhouse at all? Do you know anything about that when it comes to it?
Not so much on sales tax. I know that property taxes went up immensely last year, so I wonder if that has something to do with that too. I mean, we were seeing like 40% increases on property taxes.
40?
Yeah.
They're still going up. Like in Highlands Ranch specific, I'm pretty sure it was, which don't quote me exactly, but I think it was a 60% increase.
And some people,
So you're talking thousands of dollars per year, just change at the drop of a hat. So that's, and it's something we're dealing with more now because we're further into the year now. But that's one of the things, especially like at the beginning of the year, end of last year, when we were helping buyers, it was like, we have this property tax number, but we know that it is going to change drastically in the next 4 to 6 months. So taking that into consideration when you are purchasing the house and making sure you get the proper numbers for that, because they're not staying super constant right now, and it's something to definitely look out for because that changes your mortgage by a solid amount.
Well, it changes what you're looking for future too, because it's funny, like with my house, it's like I planned on living there my whole life. So everybody's just like, oh, you're gaining equity. Oh, your price is going, oh, great. It's just like, yeah, it's awesome. My insurance goes up. My taxes go up. Oh, it's great. No, I absolutely hate it. But you probably get a lot of people who, one big thing is that you guys and your team really talk about their current and future best interests and what they're looking for. Because a lot of people might see themselves just living in a house for 5 years, or something like that. Some people want to buy a house to live in forever type stuff. So how do you when you're talking with clients and everything like that, when you're broaching that subject, I mean, does that change what you guys are looking out for them when it comes to areas or prices or any other types of the houses that you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say especially with if you know somebody, then they're saying that they're going to be in this house for 2 to 5 years. It's definitely something when you're searching, there are things that it's like, well, we can look past this because this isn't your forever home. So is this something like that's come up that you're willing to compromise for 2 to 5 years on? Whereas if it's somebody looking for, like, they want to put down their roots and they do not want to ever move, they're going to be a little more picky about the things that they're willing to overlook, and then that's our job then to make sure that we find something that has all their boxes checked. Whereas if it's going to be a short term, it's like, if this isn't exactly what you pictured and dreamed, it's fine, because this isn't your dream home, and this is just getting your foot in the door to start the process of owning real estate, so that when you turn around and sell, you do have the equity, and then you can take that money and bring it into your forever home. Or if you're going to be moving states or whatever, like, the process is a little bit different, and you just look at the pros and cons and the non-negotiables a little bit differently depending on their timeline and their end goals.
For sure. I loved what you all brought up. I believe it was either the last interview or the one before, is a lot of times we have our list, at least that's what I do. Like, I want to have the school, or I want the certain square footage and the yard. Like, those three things were my top three. And what you all had talked about, like, what are your deal breakers? Which is sometimes even more critical or more valuable to say, you know what, I really can't live in this city because, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, I'm a chef, so, you know, a deal breaker is a small kitchen. So I'm not.
You have a microwave.
I needed a microwave day 2. That was my purchase. I'm definitely not a cook. So thank you for the laugh. I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem.
So yeah, mine is a deal breaker. You have to have a microwave. So yeah. But it's another just good way for people to kind of formulate that in their brain to say, okay, what do we really want, and what are some serious deal breakers?
Yeah.
But
And an interesting thing about deal breakers too is, like, so, you know, I know somebody who recently kind of got a house, and it was just like a surprise to them, or after the fact. You guys have all your own contacts for going over the house, the inspectors, the if something needs to be done. You guys know the right people because you kind of weeded out the wrong people. And so after a very short time in the house, it's like, oh, well, these air conditioner units and condensers are kaput. They're done. And so is that something that would is that something where the inspector just did not do that, or is that something that these inspectors do look at when it comes to that, or is that just kind of like a roll of the dice on this?
Yeah, I mean, depends on the inspector, but quite frankly, I feel like all inspectors should be looking at, you know, the major appliances at least. They can't see what's behind the walls, obviously, but they have moisture tests and, you know, those types of things. But, you know, I mean, they're looking at the ages, you know, the average lifespan of a furnace, you know, those sorts of things to kind of set our buyers up for success. Like, hey, you know, this AC is 15 years old. It's still functioning, but on average, an AC lasts about 15 to 20 years. So maybe start to budget because it could potentially go out. But one thing that, especially when it comes to inspection, and quite frankly, anybody, I always recommend what's called a home warranty. Essentially, it's about $500 to $600 a year, and it covers all of your major appliances. So if your furnace goes out, if your AC goes out, your fridge, all those items.
Your water heater. Right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so it covers you so that if something does go out, you pay like an $85 service fee. Someone comes and checks it out, and then we'll replace it for free. So that gives you kind of, and I recommend that. I mean, sometimes I even pay for it for some of my buyers because it just gives you peace of mind and a little bit of a safety blanket, because when you're buying a home, you're already coming up with, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars. Last thing you need is your furnace to go out and have to come up with another $4,500. So, you know, inspectors, our inspectors, we love them and we hate them because they find everything, which is a good thing. I'd rather know than not know. But I'm like, get the home warranty. It's a no-brainer. You can pay for it year over year. And I've had buyers call me like a week later and they're like, so happy that I got this because for whatever reason, my washer went out and I needed a new one, and I only had to pay $85 and now I have a new washer.
Is there a set amount of time that these home warranties last, or is it depending on the contract that you sign with them?
You can get one per year. We always recommend at least the first year after you buy the home, just to make sure you've covered all your bases, because over the course of time in a year you figure out a lot about how the house is functioning, how your things are functioning. So at least a year, and that's when sometimes we'll pay for it too. Like, we'll get you covered for a year. After that, it's up to you if you want to keep it. We recommend it. And like she said, like an example, last year one of the guys we had bought a brand new house, and everything came back on the inspection good. The water heater was in great working condition. 3 days after we closed, he called me at 6 a.m. His water heater just exploded. Like, basement was flooding. And obviously he called me because, like, in a panic. It was 3 days after. And called the warranty people, sent him out. They cleaned it up, replaced the water heater. All was well within 24 hours. So, whereas if we didn't have that, it's kind of like, I'm sorry you're dealing with this, but it is your home now and it's on you. Whereas if you're paying $500-$600 a year, that's kind of chump change, and compared to what you could pay to replace something that is major that goes out.
Yeah, and getting it right when you close is beneficial, because you've already had an inspection, and a lot of warranty companies, if, say, you've been in your house for 10 years, they're going to send an inspector out there to make sure that everything is good and you're not just ordering the warranty because you know your water heater just exploded, you know. So, you know, getting it right when you close is beneficial for everybody, because you don't have to, you know, you already had the inspection and you're already good to go, because usually companies require that in order to purchase.
I agree. I'm very happy with the 210 warranty. I am thrilled that and actually the sellers, when I bought it, paid for that at closing. But we did know that things were on the older side, hence why my condenser is now done.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun.
In July.
Yeah.
Hence why I'm sleeping in 80-degree heat. I'm this is so not fun. So, so it is important. And I didn't know about it until, my agent was like, hey, let's talk about the 210 warranty. So it is very valuable. So I appreciate you all suggesting that.
Yeah.
That can definitely save you. Yeah, to pay $500 as opposed to $6,000 for a new condenser is, especially being a new home buyer, you're getting whacked like several times very quickly. So
especially a brand new homeowner, because you have no idea what a home takes.
Well, and that's the thing, especially like with first time home buyers. That's why we really recommend it, because most people, especially our age, are coming from like apartments. So if something goes wrong, you call maintenance.
Right.
Whereas you got a home, you are maintenance. So if you don't have somebody to call and your AC goes out in the middle of July, well, what do we do now? Like, that's up to you to figure it out. So that's why we
sure
very
panic.
much like,
yeah, it is sometimes sure panic. Like, okay, I've got a garage door and a pond. Do you all know anything about ponds? No? Okay. Yeah, me either. This is a huge learning curve.
Interesting.
So it is, a huge learning curve is the understatement. But, and I love that you all have a full team behind you. You know, a lot of agents are solo, and you girls even work together, and you have a full team of 7 of you. Kind of what are the different roles that they serve?
Yeah.
I know you have a couple brokers.
Yes.
And people helping with marketing.
Yeah. So we have, how many of us now? 5 agents on our team that all do their own business. We kind of have a team manager, assistant that handles all of the paperwork. When we're out and about all day, every day, it's nice to have somebody who's staying up on deadlines and making sure that we're meeting those and at the office all day. And then we have a full-time marketing director who does all of our marketing for us. So we'll do pretty much everything behind the scenes in order to get the property ready and on the market and marketed properly as well. So that allows us to be out in the field and with clients more often. And having someone to lean on, because, we like to go on vacations too, and having someone be able to be there if we need to show a buyer or something like that. And quite frankly, I think it's less lonely, when you're in real estate and you're by yourself. I can only imagine like how kind of secluded maybe you would feel. So it's nice to have a team that we can kind of lean on and, go to happy hours and talk business and strategy and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's nice for the buyer and seller to know that too, where it's just like, okay, I'm not available, but my teammate is available.
Yeah.
You're always going to be covered.
Mm-hmm. And then also we have a stager too. I didn't mean to forget that. So she helps us with our sellers who are coming on the market who are still living in their home. And so she kind of comes in and helps direct them on what they need to do as far as getting the home ready to show. And that's made, it's a huge game changer because if you walk into a show home, it's like pristine, like everything's perfect. And then you walk into somebody else's home and maybe not so much, it's hard to picture yourself there. So we kind of try and come up with that happy medium between, it's obviously someone's still living there, but making it feel welcoming and like less lived in a way. Mm-hmm. So it's because staged homes, you walk in and you're like, so pretty, but obviously it's staged because everything's just like Michelle said, pristine, perfect. Whereas if you're still living in there, we don't want you to lose that opportunity because we can't just take all of your stuff out and bring staging in. But she comes in and helps them minimize so it looks staged until most of the time, it looks more staged until you look in a closet and it's like, oh, their clothes are still here. Yeah. So they're still here. But to give them the best chance too, since we can't just scrap everything and make it look like not lived in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that's part of our services that we provide to our sellers. And nice. It makes a huge difference and it helps the home sell faster, which is everyone's goal. So
that was kind of my follow-up question for those that are selling and know like they've moved out and are hiring you to come list. Do you still recommend staging? You do? Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes a difference then.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to picture your stuff in somewhere if there's already stuff in there. Because the rooms and everything look a lot smaller if there's not furniture in them. Which has always been kind of an odd thought to me. You'd think it'd be
the opposite.
You think it'd look bigger when there's nothing in there because it's open and bright. But especially when it comes to bedrooms, it's very hard to picture the size of everything if there's nothing in there to compare it to. And it also it's like a psychological thing that you go in and there's furniture. You're much more apt to like the home than if you walk in and it's just a completely blank slate.
Mm-hmm. I can see both ways actually. That this is how my brain works. You can go in and be like, oh, that is where the bed is and that's where the furniture goes, but I can see also having the blank slate, there we go. And kind of picturing your own stuff with nothing there. So it is kind of a psychology thing getting thrown at you.
Yeah, we always say that people buy on emotion. So if you can kind of create that emotional connection, then that's a lot easier for people to kind of wrap their head around versus, the logistics and the numbers and all that. That's not as exciting and fun. It's like, okay, I could see myself, on this back patio with my kids and having, barbecuing and that sort of thing. So that's what we kind of try and create is that emotional connection.
For sure.
Also, don't know if you ever noticed, if the house, has certain smells when you go inside, you psychologically connect things and emotionally will change the way you look at it. Like one of my buyers, they didn't buy the house because the house smelled good, but we went in on an open house day and they were burning these, pumpkin candles. And the whole house, they must have had 10 of them because every room you went in, the smell never went away. And they really liked it. We went back for a second showing a few days later, and they also seemed to have the plugins because we were like, it still smells like pumpkin. And they always just kept saying, the pumpkin house, the pumpkin house. So you can, there's a lot of psychology behind
for sure
certain things too.
I bet.
So I need to start baking cookies and have bunny rabbits and deer in the backyard. Yeah, that's what I should be investing in. Okay. Build on the emotion. Perfect. You'll have a deer in your backyard.
But the more stuff like that, the more just at home it feels.
Right.
Because if you go in, it's just white walls, no furniture, everything. It feels a little bit colder than if you go in and it's like, oh, I feel like at home.
It smells like my corporate office.
Yeah. Or vice versa. You go into a home that's, belong to cigarette smokers. It's hard to get past that, even though you could just, it's a quick and easy fix, truly, to just bomb the inside of the, well, it's called bombing, but it sounds bad.
To just bomb the house.
Yeah. But it's an easy fix, but a lot of people have a hard time getting past that, you know?
So clear out the odors.
Yes.
We're with you. Well, thanks. If you all are just tuning in, we have Michelle and Allie with REMAX. They're doing a wonderful interview. They're here once a month. So thank you for tuning in to special K4CO radio. We are going to have a quick radio break, but stay tuned with us. We have more. I want to get into what the market is kind of doing. And what you all predict, especially come November time, what you all are thinking. So stay tuned. Thanks again for listening to K4CO Radio. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to K4CO Radio. For those of you just tuning in, we have some special guests again with us, Michelle and Allie with REMAX. They are with the Elite Home Sales Team here located in Colorado. They are here once a month, which is so awesome because the market, as you all know, as our listeners, it changes frequently, sometimes daily. The rates and inventory and what people are looking for and who's moving in and where are the new builds. So I find it fascinating. I love stuff that's ever changing. So
we'll see how it all changes in December.
Or November. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think a lot of new things are coming on the ballot that has to do with taxes and how real estate is. So we can go into that if you'd like, but I'm curious about the rates. I think Allie just looked it up. So they're sitting at 6.8.
6.8, yep.
Okay.
As of 2 days ago.
Okay.
Because that was the email, the most recent one I had. But yeah, sitting at 6.8 for a 30-year fixed.
And how often do the rates come out with the adjust? Or is it kind of random?
Depends per year. They usually adjust them, 3 to 4 times a year?
Yeah, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason. They just kind of, they say, like this year, they said that they were going to adjust them about 4 times. But quite frankly, they adjust weekly.
They can adjust them whenever they want.
Daily, I mean, I get rates from my lender once a week on Fridays just to kind of have an idea of where they're at.
And it's progressively gone down. Is that a correct assessment since January?
No.
Okay. This is why I'm not in the market. This is why you're here.
I mean, they fluctuate.
I wish it was a consistent going downward. But they go up and down. I mean, we started pretty high. I would say we were seeing 8, towards the beginning of the year. They've come down, to 7, and then, maybe touch the 6s, back up to 7, back down to 6. So it's, they fluctuate. I mean, a downward trend, yes, but not consistently down.
Okay.
Yeah.
6.8 seems one of the lowest spots this year. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's why you all are the professionals. I am not. I am here to soak in what I can. So that's good. If you are looking to buy, maybe it's a little bit lower than what they've experienced, earlier in the year.
Yeah, and they, like Michelle was saying, they do fluctuate. Like, you can't look at it today and know that that's the rate you're going to get if you are looking in a month, because things do go up and down. That's why we always say if you're thinking about buying, start the process, because there's so many moving parts in the process. It's not all just about your interest rate. There's workarounds in different ways, but you'll never know unless you start the mortgage applications and you start going. Just because you do that doesn't mean we're going to force you to buy a home. Like... And then the day that you do find a home you want, maybe rates are a little bit lower, maybe they're a little bit higher. It depends on where you lock in too. So there's a lot going on. But when it's not something to be like everybody says, we're going to wait for rates to drop, because I mean, they started higher earlier, but then they drop a little, but then they might go back up again. And so it's such a fluid thing. That it's best just to start, see where you're at, get your numbers, and if you really can't afford to buy, then you push it out. But at least you're more knowledgeable across the board instead of just a blanket statement of, I just saw the interest rates, so I know I can't. Because truly, there's so many things that go into buying a home, not just the interest rate.
And you said it all depends on when you lock. So for first-time kind of home buyers out there, so... when you lock, that is only good for a certain amount of days, correct?
I believe it's 60, right?
It depends on the lender and the program.
Okay.
I think like either 30 to 60, but usually it's like you get the home, you go under contract, and then it's about 10 days from the time that you go under contract. From there is when you kind of work with your lender to lock in that rate.
But when you apply with the lender and everything, it's like, okay, you're approved for X amount of dollars. They kind of lock in the rate right then. And then you have to be under contract. No, that is incorrect. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they like your approval kind of, that's what you have, but they can't lock you in until you have actually identified a property.
Till you actually put. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I could apply and go through the whole process right now and be approved, but today, if they're at 6.8, but I don't find a home I like until January of next year, I'm not going to be locked in at a 6.8 from now until January. Mm-hmm. It's whatever comes January and I find the home I want, whatever the rate is then is what gets locked.
So once you find the home, that's when they kind of lock in the rate, get everything ready, and then you have to close in a certain amount of time depending on your... Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
And what is interesting, and I actually didn't know this until you all mentioned this in a past interview, but I thought it was crucial to bring up again. We had a lot of feedback, like thank you for sharing, especially either a first-time home buyer or a new build, that if you do have extra money, I know most people don't, but it's an option where you can actually buy down the rate. Mm-hmm. How does that process work a little bit?
Yeah, so it can work in a few different ways. As a buyer, I mean, you can buy down your own rate for sure if you wanted to. It's a pretty penny, but you can. In this market that we're in now is becoming to be a little bit more level, so you can actually ask the seller to pitch in maybe $10,000 to do what's called a 2-1 buy down, and that helps the buyer. Or a lot of new home builders, they're actually already just offering that right off the bat. They say, hey, if you come and buy from us, we're going to lock you in at a 5% interest rate just to get them through the door. So there's a lot of kind of different ways, I guess, but now that we're becoming a little bit more level of a market, if you come in with a pretty strong offer to a seller, but you ask them, hey, with rates being high, would you mind chipping in and helping me buy down the rate? And you kind of, that's part of the negotiations now.
Okay. Are you all finding, I know you all actually have quite a lot of inventory. Are you finding, because that changes all the time too, where there's some years you have so much inventory and no one buying, and then vice versa. So are you seeing more inventory now, or what are the trends doing right now?
Yeah, we actually just got a full update from our broker owners the other day that said inventory as of June of this year was 68% higher than June of last year. So it definitely is increasing. I think the number was sitting at about 10,000 active listings in June across just the Denver market. So it's definitely increasing and people are more apt to sell nowadays.
And why do you think that is?
I think COVID years, I mean, so in comparison, right? So 10,000 homes on the market that are active right now. Back in like 2020, 2021, we had like 2,000 to 3,000 homes active. So, and that was just the world we thought was all ending. So some people, didn't want to necessarily take the risk of either buying or selling their home because they needed a place to be, in case that did happen. But I think that it's just the market ebbs and flows. That's just what we see, and it's actually kind of nice, and having more options out there for our buyers. And now it's becoming just more level in general across the board, which I think makes everybody a little bit happier. I mean, the sellers were like, yeah, this is great, I'm getting way more for my house, but at the end of the day, if both sides are happy, then that's good.
For sure. I think we all want stability and to know where the market's going. When it's volatile, it's scary. I think when fear sinks in and stability are kind of the two things that maybe control the market a bit, at least me looking at it from an outsider in. What do you all see, since it is an election year? Do people tend to want to buy or sell more or stay put with an election year?
And will it slow down kind of coming up to November? Is that a common...
Yeah, I would say it is, that we've seen that over the years. Those conversations, at least I haven't had a ton of them as of yet. I would say the 2020 election year was definitely, a lot of people were like, I mean, there was so much going on that they're like, I just don't even know if I, can trust what anybody's saying. So I'm just going to trust my instinct and stay put. But we do tend to see a little bit of a slowdown, just depending on where you stand with things. But as of yet, I mean, it hasn't come up, quite frankly. I mean, we're still busy bringing things on the market. We have a ton of buyers. Like it's like it is an election. It is not an election year for us as of now. We'll see what happens, come September. It might, start to change a little bit. October, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting a little bit more of like rate adjustments from the beginning of the year, just because usually when election year happens, I mean, the economy is the first thing where you can kind of buy the people out, because that's with not a better way to say that, but I was expecting more of like not a heavy drop, but more of a drop than we've seen. And yeah, we're in the third quarter now, and it hasn't really adjusted that much. Like Michelle said, it doesn't really feel like an election year in any way, shape, or form when you're looking at the market. But also, I mean, come November, usually from end of October to beginning mid-January, it usually slows in general, just because holidays, the winter seasons in Colorado, it's definitely not as busy as spring, summer, and fall. So it's probably going to slow, but it's kind of hard to tell whether that's because of an election or just because of the months and the time of year.
Sure. Where do you find most of your buyers are coming from? Are they people in Colorado already looking to relocate, or a lot of people coming, like, again, outside
Texas,
looking in? I'm actually see the East Coast. The last few years have been the East Coast. 10 years ago or 5 years ago, it was Texas, California. But now it's a lot on the East. But that's what I'm seeing. I'm curious from your standpoint on the market. Where are the buyers coming from? Or even overseas?
Yeah. I would say just Denver in general, we've seen a lot of like natives leave. Because it used to be this little diamond in the rough, and we were this kind of smaller city and that sort of thing. But as far as buyers that we're working with and sellers, I feel like it's a lot of either, we call it resizing. So kind of taking your life that you have and maybe moving to like a ranch style home that's maybe the same square footage, maybe a little bit nicer in a different area, or, and somebody who's a little bit older and doesn't want stairs anymore. We call it resizing these days, because it's not really a downsizing, because prices are still pretty high. Right. But in general, I mean, I don't know how Allie feels about it, but I don't work with a whole lot of out-of-state buyers, quite frankly. Usually we're helping people either relocate outside of Colorado or within different counties.
A lot of local relocating. All right.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you always have like your out-of-state buyers. You have your ones who are here moving to out-of-state, or the people within. I wouldn't say I've seen a heavy amount of one over the other. Just personally, in our business, maybe somebody else who does like a lot of relocation obviously sees more of that. But from our team, I mean, somebody on our team is working with an out-of-state buyer right now. I had an out-of-state buyer on one of my listings, but then we have a bunch of just the relocation within the city. So it's kind of all over the board, but not one over another.
Okay. And you all do have quite a few listings. I was scanning a bit. Do you all have open houses or listings that you're really trying to get pushed that you wanted to talk about?
Do you make fresh baked cookies?
If you do, I'll be there.
They're not freshly baked, but there are cookies.
They're like the King Soopers frosted
Super's
ones.
Best.
And then you just get a cookie candle. And
there you go. Exactly.
Oh, that's even better. That's so much smarter.
No, they used to do that so the house would smell good, bake the cookies, but I'm like, I'm in somebody else's home that I'm showing. I'm not going to use the oven.
I know. Well, then I'd be scared if I'd forget about it.
Yeah.
Do something wrong, mess something up. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot the question.
No, I was saying about
yes.
listings. You have one on like Princeton Avenue.
I have one. It's a townhouse it's 7372 East Princeton. It's kind of in the roughly in the Denver Tech Center area, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, super cute little townhouse. It's an end unit, listed for $380. We just dropped the price yesterday. There's a little condo I have in zip code's Inglewood, but it's like right off of Parker and Arapahoe Road, so kind of in the Parker area.
Okay.
Just a 2-bedroom condo. That one's listed for $360. And then my one in Parker in the Heirloom neighborhood, right by like the Reuter Hess incline, if anybody knows the Parker incline. It's just a small little like walking trail incline thing.
Okay.
But that one, we've dropped the price on that one as well. It's $849, and the address is 11817 Diorio Street.
Nice. I'm impressed you remember all these numbers, actually.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I'm dyslexic, and I'm like,
do that.
We also have a new listing coming soon tomorrow, 9111 East Lost Hill in Lone Tree in Heritage Hills.
What is that Lone Tree one? Is that a townhouse, family home?
It's a 5-bed, 5-bath.
Stunning. Yeah.
Stunning home.
1.825, I believe we're listed at. I'm going to have an open house this weekend on Sunday from 1 to 3.
Not this weekend.
Next weekend?
Next weekend. Right?
No, it's this weekend. Anyway.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
We'll let you
We
know
have a
when
lot.
it
Oh,
will
it
be.
is. Yeah, on the 21st.
I do have
Sunday.
kind of a little bit of a pocket listing, if you will, but I have a new one coming on in the Meadows. It's going to be coming soon in the MLS on Thursday. It's kind of a first-time home buyer at 550, 3-bed, 3-bath, unfinished basement. It's going to be a great house, so
Nice.
come check that out too.
Where are the Meadows?
The Meadows is just west of I-25.
In Castle Rock.
In Castle Rock. Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, did I not say that?
No, that's okay. I was like, what city?
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good.
Castle Rock. Yes,
Castle Rock.
You're good. And you're going up north later today, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have actually showing a few buyers today. I'm showing my 81-year-old going to be looking in the Heather Gardens kind of retirement community. I'm like become an expert in Heather Gardens, so if you need help in there, I know what to do. But I am going to be headed up north. I have a first-time home buyer who's looking for just himself, single guy, and our budget's kind of under 400, and we're finding some great stuff up there. So
Nice.
yeah, all over.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys are super busy. I'm glad that you are, especially with, well, depends on the weather, but if you can
And
be
the
in
summer's
your car,
not bad. Yeah.
yes, you have
Yeah.
more sunshine. That's for sure. I know I mentioned your names, but I'm going to throw out while we're still talking all of your information. So all of your listings are on Facebook under the Elite Home Sales Team. And all the listings are updated, what sold and open houses, which is really cool. Thank you for keeping us apprised of all of that. So we've been talking with Michelle and Allie. So if you want to get in touch with Michelle Romano, her number is 303-328-7075. You can email her at mromano@remax.net. And then Allie Peters is 720-341-2959. And her email is apeters@remax.net. And for those of you that are in your car and can't write that down, totally fine. You can go to our website, k4coradio.com, and we have their information listed too.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. Anything? Should we take another quick break and then come back?
Yeah, we can take a quick break real quick.
Okay.
We will be right back with Michelle and Allie, and stay tuned. Welcome back. We are sitting down here with Michelle and Allie with REMAX Professionals, and thank you guys again very much for coming. We love having you in once a month to just kind of go over the market, what the trends are, what the rates are, all this fun stuff. Especially on a election year like this one, it can be different. It can be
I'm glad to have
interesting.
some positivity. I love that you are so, yeah, that's what we try to do at K4CO Radio all the time, and it takes some weeding. Like every night I scroll with what we're going to talk about in the morning and afternoon. I'm like, negative, positive. Yay. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. So I'm glad that you guys are busy and listing lots of listings. So yeah.
And we love teaming up with you guys when you guys came in and kind of talked to us, because you do this a little differently. and love what kind of sets you guys apart from other ones. I mean, first of all, with the team that you have and how long you've been around, kind of go into that. You did mention you have a team of 7 with you guys, and you guys all, instead of every realtor out for themselves, make it just kind of like a whole functioning teamwork thing. So which really helps out your business and your clients. So kind of go into a little bit of that sets you guys apart.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think being on a team just helps us be able to be with our clients more and do our job better, quite frankly. I looked it up just because I was curious, and I don't know how much I believe it, but according to the National Association of Realtors, on average, each agent does about 10 to 12 transactions a year, which is great. I mean, that's a lot. I was thinking it was going to be closer to like 4 or 5, but as a team, we're able to manage about 50 to 70 transactions a year.
Oh, wow.
So we're able to, serve more people, and we're also getting the, more experience. We're dealing with the one-off situations more often, and being able to problem solve through those as well. So I think that that's also part of it too, because you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. So
I like that.
So, and we also have, our team, amongst all of us, we have about together collectively over 100 years of experience.
Oh.
So by having that, you create relationships with contractors and, certain people that have to do with the whole entire home buying or selling process. So having contractors that we know that we can call, and we know that they'll show up, and we know that they'll treat our clients well and fair and pricing, that sort of thing, that also makes a huge difference. So having those connections within the whole entire real estate just world is what really sets us apart and helps us be successful and allows our clients to feel like we are, the best choice for your real estate needs.
I take it was interesting weeding out some of these over the years. I was like, we're not going with you anymore.
Yeah. I mean, just getting people to show up sometimes is hard. It's like, what the heck? We're trying to give you our money.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. And going off, the contractor thing too, it's such a big part of each transaction that most people don't realize is you need to have somebody for anything, because you never know what's going to come up. And the other thing that's nice about having the team that we have is we have shared contractors that we all use, our absolute go-tos, but everybody has a few of everything. So if, say, there's a huge plumbing issue and it is urgent, and our main one that we usually use is booked out and busy, somebody on the team knows somebody else from somewhere else that we could call and get out right away. It's not like we just have one inspector, one plumber, one electrician. We have our main ones that we know and trust absolutely, but we also have a web of everybody that if we need somebody out there within the next 3 hours, we'll get somebody out there within the next 3 hours.
I love that coming from our end too. Having the network of people is so incredibly crucial. And then again, an outsider looking in, I think it can be a daunting process to say, oh my gosh, I have to move, because there's so many different elements to be considered. Who's going to move you? Who am I going to find for the lender? How are you all going to help me get to different locations? What can I afford? So you all have talked about this in the previous interviews, not only being that team, that cohesive unit, but really to kind of, I don't love this phrase, but kind of to hold their hand a little bit, which a lot of us need, even if it's a first time home buy or the 5th, because these are huge life changes. So I think to really be there for the person is so it's so crucial. At least that's how I feel. I always want to be like, I'm in really good hands, and I need a plumber, or I need an HVAC, or who's going to help move me that I can trust, and who's not going to go break all of my stuff. I'm still going through that 4 months later. I'm like, So there's always all these different elements to be considered. So
in over 100 years, and just marketing in itself and networking, that's a long time, because it takes a long time to network and know who's good and who is maybe not.
Exactly.
It takes a long time to do that. You can't just step into a certain position and know, I got you covered. So, you guys have a long time past.
Yeah, and I think by doing that many transactions too, we always talk about our client. We're actually also building a ton of great relationships with our agents, which can really make or break a deal as well. Mm-hmm. So it's nice when you're starting to work with that many more agents, and having those kind of connections will, help your client maybe get into a house that you're in a competing situation, but the other agent knows you personally, and it's like, okay, I know that we'll get to the closing table as well. So that's also helpful, I think, with just being on a team and that sort of thing, as well as just the amount of work there in business, I guess, that we do just in the city in general. Having our names recognized is helpful for our clients for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, gals, so much for coming in again. It truly is such a pleasure to have you. I'm going to put your information out on the airwaves again so people can reach out to you. So again, we've been talking with Michelle and Allie. You can get in touch with Michelle Romano at 303-328-7075. Her email